Yo, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to put the poly bushings into your Z, into the subframe, and into the diff. So last video I showed you how to remove the bushings out of your diff over here, and you want to use like a 34mm socket, or if you have, I think the American size one, I think it's like 1.25 inches, I believe. Someone can correct me on that. But you want to punch these out, you know, with a sledgehammer or a hammer, whatever it is. Mine was really rusted in because they were OEM. So today we're going to be tackling the subframe bushing, taking it out. I want to show you how to do that. It's warmer today than it was last video. Last video it was probably like 31 degrees out. Today it's like 61 degrees out, but as you can see, it's like wicked watery right now, getting like a storm. So got some good warm weather, everything's just really wet. So we were talking about this right up here. Gotta remove that's gotta get removed. So we're gonna go ahead and remove that, show you how it's done. But things that you're gonna need for the actual bushing itself to take out, you're gonna need trusty old Sawzall right here with a good old Linux blade, one for heavy metal, and you're gonna want to grab a torch. Doesn't matter, it could be propane, MAP. Just don't need a oxygen torch for this. Just gotta heat up the area. And then the other thing that you gotta use is, well, I want to be also closing up the diff because I have not closed up this diff yet. Gonna be using some Toyota RVT. This stuff is great. It works so good. The other thing is just gonna need a rubber mallet. Put your bushings in, and the poly bushings right now are actually in the freezer because it's gonna reduce the size. And you're gonna want a little bit of grease. I have Lucas oil grease that I use. It's like red tacky stuff. Just put a little bit in there, but before you put in your bushings, just make sure that these are clean. I still have a little bit of rust, so just grab fine sandpaper, like 800 grit or something like that, and just sand it out. Make sure the rust is gone, so when you put in your poly bushings, it's basically kind of goes right in, doesn't give you any trouble. But let's get to it. Let's start putting these things in. So 1000 grit is what I'm using right now. I mean, it's already smooth already. I'm just gonna get the surface rust off, and we're gonna apply some tacky grease and punch these in. But that's where the propane torch comes in play here. We're gonna heat the outside of this after we sand the inside down, and then we're gonna put the tacky grease on the poly bushing, which I'm gonna bring out in a little bit. And we're just gonna put a little bit on the side, and then we're just gonna punch these right in, and they should go in super easy. Right now this is the underside, so I'll show you how to put it the correct way. You're gonna make sure that the flat piece where the metal goes is on this side. So I'll come back in like 2 seconds, but let's sand these down and grab those bushes. Alright boys, so now you're gonna grab your torch. Now that you've sanded the entire thing, and you're literally just gonna flame the inside evenly on both sides, and do it for a while, just so you can get the whole thing warmed up. You're gonna get surface rust build up anyways once you warm it up and it starts to cool down, but that's alright because you're gonna be using the tacky grease. So just be sure to go all around on both of them. Make sure they are nice and warm, and you're gonna grab your poly bushings that are in the freezer. You're gonna come out and then put grease on it and put it in really quick. So let's go ahead and do that. You can see right now it's starting to dry up in there. Since it's so wet out here, it's gonna be getting moisture constantly since we had the storm, but make sure it's nice and hot. Not too hot, but just at least you know, warm to the touch. Let's go ahead and keep doing this, and I'll come back with the bushings. Alright, these are warm. You don't want them to be hot. We aren't cooking the poly bushings here, okay? So, now that they're warm, or decently hot, but not too hot, you still want to touch it. You don't want to, like, you know, melt these poly bushings into place. You're gonna grab those cooled poly bushings, put a little bit of grease on it, and put it in. Alright, so I got my chilled bushing here, so we're just gonna grab a little bit of grease. This is literally like pretty much all that you need. And this side, where the ring goes into, like that, this is the underside. So you want that ring to be basically, you want it to go in like that, so like this. But since these are separate, what you can do is basically just disconnect these two, just like that. So you have one side like this, and then just go ahead, smack some lube on there, like so. Make sure it's lubed up all around. So now you got some nice oil in there. Right here too. You really don't need it like on the top here. Just make sure you get the inside part mostly. Like I said, don't need that much. And then you're just gonna put it into place. It should literally just fall right in. So there you go, it's kind of seated. You're gonna grab a rubber mallet, tap that thing into place. Alright, now we're gonna go ahead and flip your diff over. And this is the side that is gonna be facing the car. And we're gonna go ahead, place this into it. Just like that, that little center. We're gonna grab a little bit more of grease right here. Little dab. Put a little dab of grease on there. Like so. You know, just kind of force it in your hand a little bit. And then now, just literally tap it in. So I'm doing this with one hand, so it's a little harder, but we're gonna make this nice and flush, and literally that's so easy. That is so easy. When the outside's warm like that and then the inside's cold, well, your bushing is cold, this goes in so easy. It's so effortless. So I wanna go ahead and just grab my mallet here, and I'm just gonna keep hitting this with two hands, and we're gonna just make this nice and flush. So as you can see now, this is the underside. So remember, when you put this back into the car, this is actually gonna go upside down, so this is gonna be facing the ground. So this actually is gonna fall out, so make sure you just have these somewhere to basically put it on that bolt. So you can just put that somewhere. I'm gonna put it in the car. And now we're just gonna do the other side and put it in the other side, and then after that, I'm gonna show you how to seal this thing up, and we'll move to removing our subframe bushing over there. And you're gonna I mean, you can buy the tool from O'Reilly's, or you can rent it out at an automotive store. I think AutoZone has it too. If you have a Sawzall, and if you have a drill, or if like a decent sized bit on it, just drill holes into that, drill holes straight to rubber, and just basically drill it out. And if you got the Sawzall and just chisel your bushing out, you'll basically be like golden. On this side you can see there's a little line right there. I actually had to Sawzall the actual bushing out on this one because the rubber piece came out without the bushing. So that's another way I guess you can kind of do it on your diff, but just be careful because those are aluminum. You want to be careful on this too because the bushing itself is also aluminum. So just be careful when you do remove it. But it's super simple. It shouldn't be that hard to do. You want to make sure that you have a decent size chisel for that subframe bushing, or maybe a flathead. I don't know if the flathead works too well. Mine snapped when I was doing bushing like that before. This is the broken one. It's been broken probably for like 2 years already. So I don't know if you want to use this, but whatever works, whatever you got. So let's put in this other bushing, and I'll show you how to seal this diff. So for your diff, what you're gonna do is basically grab a razor blade, just take all the excess off like that. It's clean already. So you're gonna have like little pieces of RTV coming up. You're just gonna razor blade all that around, and grab 2000 grit or a scuff pad, and then just scuff the top of this. and you'll get like this nice little shine to it. That's what you want. You want it to be clean metal. You're gonna grab a pack of Toyota RTV or any RTV, and you're just gonna go across this, basically fill in all this over here, fill in all that, make sure everything's all good and filled up. And remember, when you put this back together, that this slot lines up here, so this has space to fit into there, and put it in just like that, because if you put it in backwards like this, it's not gonna fit. It's gonna do that, and then you might mess up your RTV. So remember, it goes in like that, this slot, but it should be pretty easy. So let's apply that right now. Actually, applying that RVT is so satisfying. Just like go slowly, and apply like a generous amount. So you can see the RTV there. It's honestly overkill, but it's totally fine. I went around the bolts too, but you shouldn't really need this much. I just always put a bunch on everything just so it keeps it nice and sealed. But like I said, just put it on right and torque everything down. I don't know what the torque spec is for this, but I'll probably put it up on screen. But just make sure everything's nice and tight. And when you first put this on, just do this bolt and this bolt diagonally so the whole plate sits flush, and then start doing the other bolts just in a crisscross pattern. Now that your lid's closed, just I wouldn't really clean up the excess. I mean, you can, but to be honest, the excess probably helps a little bit in terms of its sealing. So I wouldn't really wipe this up. Plus, if you do wipe it up, it's gonna make a mess on your rag, and I mean, it'll look worse. I mean, it'll start smudging all the RTV on the actual diff itself. So I mean, I would leave it as is, and don't put fluid into this for I think 30 minutes after you put your RTV down. I usually like to wait like an hour and a half, because sometimes even after 30 minutes it's still like soft and plately. So install this, and then after you install it, which probably would take an hour or so to like install this by yourself, I then would put your fluid in and then test drive with your car. But when you put this back in, recheck your bolts, because doing it on the floor with this thing moving is also not going to give you as much force if it was installed in the car. So retorque these down when you put this back. Let's get to the big boy in the back over there and show you how to remove that. For this, I've already gotten started just a little bit. You're gonna need a really large bit, like something that's really huge. I don't know what size this is, but comparing it to my finger, it's about the size of my finger. And you just want it to go all the way through, which is what's going on right now. So basically, this entire thing is rubber. You can drill right through this thing. If you feel like it's hesitating, just keep pushing. It'll go right through. You can see right there, there's a hole. So literally just keep drilling in this thing, and then drill all around and take all the rubber out. And then after all the rubber's out, you're gonna grab your saw. You're gonna start cutting the sleeve that's in the inside of this thing. Got some pretty good holes in there now. I would recommend using 3 different bit sizes, because I was trying to take out too much using just one. And as you can see, it's got a bunch of holes in it, but this one only is good for a couple, and these ones have, they can move in a tighter spot and take out some more. I haven't tried out the other side, so I'm gonna go further down here and use the same bit on the other side, because I have a straight shot. On here, the drill gets kind of stuck up here, so I can only drill right here. I can't drill up here, so I'm gonna go to the other side and then use this and see if I can drill the entire top out now. Okay, so once you have, this took a lot longer than I expected, but we got there. So 3 drill bits, different sizes, on the larger size though, and kept drilling it out, moving it around. You can see it's finally out. There it is. You just don't want to do what I did and kind of nick the actual subframe itself. So make sure you don't do that. Now you can grab the saw right over there, and you can just start sawing into that. So you don't want to go into the actual subframe itself. Just cut. I would cut here. Actually, I would cut to the side maybe, and to the other side, because if you cut down, you'll put too much pressure and you'll cut right through everything. So just clean this up, and then afterwards just start sawing through it. And once you get to where this lip is, I would stop, and then I would start doing the other side, and then that's when you grab your chisel and then you can smack that out. Woo, there you go. That's that little rubber piece. As you can see, that's what holds in the rubber. So that just came out. I think the sleeve on one side's definitely cut. Now we're gonna go ahead and cut this side. Woo. There they are. Those two pieces. I tried not cutting into the subframe too much, but I think I went a little deep on this side by accident. That is not what you want to do. Thankfully I didn't go into the well, but you don't want to cut too deep. But that's what you do. You do exactly that. Now you're just gonna go ahead and you're gonna literally do what we did with the diff. You're gonna sand it out. You're gonna go ahead and put the lube in there on the actual, wow, there was so much going on there. On the actual poly diff, so you're gonna put the lube on the poly bushing that's in the fridge when you bring it out here, just like we did last time with the diff. And afterwards, just basically put it in there. I'll show you how to put it in. There's like a specific way of putting it in. It's directional, but it's pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and grab that. Once you sand this down with like 1,000 grit, 2,000 grit, or something that's fine, just to get rid of those sharp edges that you got over here from sawing, you're gonna go ahead and grab your frozen bushing. You're gonna grab a little bit of lube. You're gonna grab a torch. And you're literally just gonna torch the inside of this and warm up the actual subframe. And once it's all warmed up, then you're gonna pull in your bushing. You shouldn't be torching this thing for that long. It's aluminum and it's like super thin. So now you're gonna grab this end of the actual subframe bushing, and you're literally gonna make sure this side's facing out, because this has to be coming towards this way, and you're literally just gonna fit it on this side. You're gonna insert it into there, slide it in, and then you're gonna grab a mallet, and then you're literally just gonna smack your diff bushing into there. Just keep doing that until it seats all the way through, and just like that, it should be in. Well, not just like that. I was literally fighting it for probably like 40 minutes. Well, usually it doesn't take that long, but it took a little too long, and the bushing itself started getting cold. So, started getting warm, so it didn't want to go in as good. So it got stuck like halfway there with the mallet. So I had to use one of those portable vices and some pieces of wood, and just clamped it all together. That's a great tool to have. If you got one, I would use it. I'm honestly just so tired now. I got like metal shavings all over me. Every single time I move, it's literally poking me, but they're in finally. So that's in, and these two new ones are in. It's honestly so perfect, but that's how you install them. Basically, you want to make sure that side with the more brass sticking out is facing towards the back of the car. Me putting in the diff is going to be a little hard, trying to film at the same time, so I'll probably put the camera to the side and then I'll cut to when the diff is kind of in it and kind of in place, because this thing's actually really heavy when you're doing this by yourself. It feels like it's literally like 100 pounds when you're laying down and you're trying to lift it up. So I'll be back in a little bit and let's get this thing installed. I want to get this thing in finally. Alright boys, so the time has come to put this diff in. So you're actually gonna grab that little bronze O-ring, washer that they gave you, and you're gonna grab the OEM washer that they gave you, and you're kind of gonna just put this one underneath of it, like if I can put it on. There you go. You're gonna put it on like this, and then when you put this on, this one's gonna sit inside the bushing. There's a little indent on that, as you can see, and this is gonna sit inside there, and then the top one's gonna squish it all together. All the bolts are in. Moment of truth. Let's go, boys. Hell yeah. That wasn't really that bad. Honestly, just using the jack and just moving it around, really not that bad. This is what I mean by, you kind of want to sandwich it. You see that the old washer is kind of like covering the whole thing? Yeah, that's what I meant by that. So just use the old washer. And this thing's not torqued down yet, but let's torque it down. All right guys, we're all torqued down now. These ones up here are 52 foot-pounds. This one is about 55 to 60. I do 55. These compress a lot, so. Guys, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I did say I was gonna go test drive this, but I'm gonna end it now just because there's still a lot more to do and I don't wanna keep recording. I wanna just focus on the car. So, we're gonna go ahead and grab the rest of the car, put it all back together, and go for a test drive once we're done. But there's still a lot of stuff I need to do. I still gotta put on the brakes for this thing. I still gotta do an oil change. I gotta change the gear oil on this thing once I go drive. Before I go drive, I gotta make sure there's oil in the diff. There's still a lot to do and I kinda wanna focus on that, so. But if you guys enjoyed the video and want to keep looking for more Z content or just content in general about anything, just let us know what you want to watch in the comments. But that's how you install that Z1 diff bushing kit. And I actually right here have the Z1 brace that I'm actually going to put on just now. But they're pretty self-explanatory. Literally, there's like those two bolts in the corner right over there, and then there's a big hole that you see in the subframe right over there. Literally, you put it through that and then just bolt it together and there's your brace. So, but apart from that, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. If you guys like watching the video, give me a like, subscribe, share the video, and we'll see you next time.